at one point, right? But when you have people that are showing up that you're not having to, start at the baby steps, it really helps. And I feel like Elizabeth has done it with class and integrity and from a kind of a go give mentality, like with Family Tree and all of that. So we're so fortunate to have her. Who is your direct sponsor here at EXP?
It does go back to Gene Frederick.
Gene.
So Gene, it brought in Sean Sturrock. Sean Sturrock brought in Eric Golden, and Eric Golden met my mom, who was an agent for me. And my direct upline is actually Eric Golden. Okay. That's who my upline is. So he and their whole focus was attraction.
Yeah.
It's a funny story. We can talk about it at any point, but it's how I even came to EXP as a producer, and I'm being attracted by two.
What are the biggest attractors?
Yeah, they're attractors, right? They don't produce at all. And I said, well, wait a minute here. I actually sell real estate. I need to talk to people that sell real estate. So they put me in touch with Elizabeth Riley as an example of taking my brand, bringing it over here. What would that look like as production? And it worked out really well for me. I lost my entire brokerage, by the way. I made the choice to do this. I had about 10 agents working for me. I lost 8 of them and only 2 came with me. I'm lucky my mom came with me because I probably would have been just one agent manager. But I went from having 10 agents to 2 at EXP when I started, and then I got up to about 32 agents. So everything has just worked way better for me so far.
I love that.
And I have a team. We can talk about teams too. I have, I do teams, but I don't run a team the way a team is run. I run as a referral system. That's something we can talk about after all the introductions if we want.
I would love that. I would love to hear how you're building your business. I love
Very
that.
cool. Thank you. I don't want to take up everybody's time.
No, you're awesome. I'm excited to learn more. I'm super happy that you're on the panel with us today. Anna, how are you this morning?
Hello, Kim. I'm great.
Hi.
How are you doing?
It's good to see you
for a while.
I miss you.
I miss you too.
So, so Anna and I met at EXP events, you guys. So we met at Build when we were going to
we met at Build.
Icon breakfast. Remember that morning? First Build.
Yes, I remember.
We met in that really long line out in the hallway trying to get breakfast, and we just fell in love.
Yep, and I think we joined about the same time too. Yes. I think this is my 3rd year with EXP, and I Icon 3 times. I run a team of 17. We're one of the mega Icon teams. So this year we're number 68 on volume with EXP, top 100. So we did made it. I thought we were not going to make it because the market was not so great in 2023, but we actually did pretty good. So I was proud of what our team had done in terms of production.
I'm super proud of you. You should be proud of yourself. So you have done, and so you and I got here, like you said, about the same time, and you have really grown that team in the last 3 years.
I have been growing them in terms of the production wise. I came originally with 10 agents, and the hype of my team was 23 agents at one point, but some of them, they come and they leave. So now I'm down to 17, but these are producers. So I have very good, I have very good faith with them that they would stick with me during the tough time and the good times. So I'm still trying to grow them. My downline had actually grown to, I think it's now 76th, I think. Yes, 76th from 0. From 10 actually, from 10 to 76 in 3 years. And when I first came, I thought I was going to do it in my first year to hit 100, and I didn't know it was this hard to, I guess, being recruiting, new agent is different than what I thought it would be. So it took me a very long time, and I've seen some of my peers that's with EXP that they have grown their organization, in hundreds. Now they have 200, 300. And they joined the same time I joined. So that is something that I have to work on. Other than the team production, I think for my team production and our transaction counts been very steady for the last 10 years. So I don't think that it's going to go very bad or very good. So I'm on a bottleneck with my productions for my team. So I think that's been very steady. But like I said, there's a lot of new things are coming along, especially with AI and also the new rules with the real estate commission. So I
Mm-hmm.
think there will be a lot of transition.
There will be, and I think we're going to start to see some more fluctuation with agents and attrition. I was listening to something with Chet Black last year that he was coaching on, and normally a brokerage sees about 30%. And Sean, you could probably attest to this, having been a former broker owner. And in a shifting market like this, you see about 50% attrition. So I try not to get too attached. I mean, the problem with me is I love these people that come in with all my heart, right? And then when they leave, it's like, no, it's like I've lost a baby. So you have to get a little bit thicker skin and just know that part of it is a process. And I think Sean has the right idea, Anna. When you're in production and you're a successful agent, you're going to attract the other successful agents that want to be doing what you're doing and be a part of it. I currently have 164 in my organization, but they come and go, right? Like we'll pick some up, we'll drop some, we'll pick some up, we'll drop some. And so you just have to I think, play the long and steady game, especially for those of us that are icon agents running teams or in production. It's not easy being really, really heavy in agent attraction and building that, as well as being strong in production. It takes a lot of time to do both. So my focus this year too has been more production, and agent attraction is coming along, but really making sure those production numbers are solid as well.
I did realize that there's a lot more agents that wants to join a team, but they're already in EXP. So I've gotten a lot of those calls, and I'm hesitant to take new team members because I'm one of those agents, like the team leads, where people leave. I actually think that it's my problem. Usually, like I would first come to myself, and what did I do that I did not support them? What it is, and I feel very down when somebody leaves. Although some of those agents doesn't have any productions, but some of the agents, they actually grew and they triple and quadruple the production, and they leave. They decided they want to do their own branding with a different company. I also get sad by that too. They could have done that with EXP. I think what I need to do is really talk to the agents more and feel what they are mentally thinking about. Like some of the agents, when they're ready to lead a team, I need to know about it, right? I should I be asking them that question, or they should come to me and say, "Hey, I want to leave your team. I want to start my own team." Is that like an awkward conversation to have? So I just want to make sure that they're comfortable.
Yeah. What about doing like a quarterly meeting with the agents for 30 minutes, sitting down, whether it's on a Zoom or a face-to-face, and just do a quarterly check-in. Because if you're looking at like what we're building right now, you're really looking at your business 6 months out. So what we're building today in June is going to set us up for December and January for first quarter really of 2025, right? So maybe How are you looking? How are you tracking? Maybe helping them with some tracking and goal setting that you're following up quarterly. How are you doing? What do you need to pivot? Do you have any questions? This is what I found in my experience, blah, 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 blah. So then you are giving it an intentional conversation. You're setting the stage. They know they have to check in with you. Are you meeting your goals? Are you following up with what you're supposed to be doing? Just setting some basic, guidelines for them. And I feel like if we're a little bit, like spend that 30 minutes, get on a plan with them, and maybe it's monthly check-in from that point. And then also maybe some accountability groups within your organization and the agents that are there. So you're doing a meeting, and then you have a big meeting, and then you pair them up together. So they feel like there's some community there. And then you're not having to do all the heavy lifting for all of the agents. That could be helpful.
That is a very helpful pointer that I'll have to start working on this year. So, baby steps. Yes, baby steps.
You can eat an elephant a bite at a time, girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's so good to see you.
Hey, Kimberly.
Yes.
Can I add a short comment in there for
Anna?
I had my group's nowhere near as large as Anna's, but I would think you've probably got about 20% or so that really you need to stay in front of because there's no other connection. That's probably the ones you want to focus on communicating. If everyone else is consistently coming and a part of your group, you may not have to hit all 160 of them. Maybe we just focus on the ones that you need to stay in front of to make sure you're connected. And I would really focus really on the production ones, because you guys know that most agents are not selling more than a year, 1 or 2 houses a year. So if they leave, don't take it personal. They're not producing anyway. And maybe you could help them, maybe you couldn't, but if they don't plug in, you can't make them. Just a couple of thoughts.
I think that's good advice. And there's people that are going to excel no matter where you are. You could drop any of the 5 of us in any brokerage and we're going to exceed. We just do better here at EXP because we have more tools and collaboration, right? EXP makes it easier for us to excel. But if you're going to, I think successful agents are going to be successful regardless of the brokerage. I just think some brokerages are better than others. So that's my advice. And then some, you can have the best brokerage in the world like us. And if they're not motivated or self-starters or willing to put the work in, it doesn't matter where they're at. So you can't take it personally. I think you just have to be kind of like a little, just be able to shed some of it off and not internalize it, because you need to go to the next person that needs you and needs your leadership and your experience.
Yes, that's true.
You
But
got
the thing is that with me, it's like when they come to me, I feel like I'm a mom, and then my kids are leaving me because I'm not a good mom, right? And that's what I feel. And then I learned from other top leaders. They said that when you're working on, if you want to grow your organization, it's a numbers game, and I understand that. But I still, I'm still thinking very small right now, this stage of my group, because I feel like everybody that I know, I need to connect with them on a personal level, so they need to know that I'm always there for them. I mean, I'm always there for them, and sometimes it get exhausting, right? But at the same time, yeah, it does get exhausting. But EXP is great because there's a lot of agents that are always coming together. They collaborate. Even in my local town, they all come together, even though they're not in the same group, like I say, but they would come
Which
and
I love
collaborate.
that.
So I love that too.
One of the things that I found, that I personally took on a lot of in-person meetings and trainings, and twice a month I have an in-person training that I lead with about, 20 to 30 of my agents. And so I was doing it weekly. I've gone from like weekly, bi-weekly, we're back to bi-weekly. But the other thing, I think the mistake that I made is making it look like everybody had to come to me for everything. I think the beauty of the collaboration of EXP is like, we've got this panel today. They can go back and watch that. They, have all of the daily trainings. You've got all the things that leadership puts on. I feel like we need to do a better job as agents and leaders and attractors, plugging them in to all of the tools that we have, so we're not everything to them. They get so plugged in and immersed with everything else. The new Elevate coaching that Brian's brought out, all of these different things that we're rolling out. There's no other company that adds the kind of value to the agents that we do here at EXP. So if we do a good job as leaders showing them the value and where they can get the information, it's going to put less on us and being able to bring them into more of what the company offers and what attracted us here to begin with. I think that's going to help agents stay and also take pressure off of you guys and us, so we can grow the production and bring in other agents that are needing our help and needing what EXP has to offer. So maybe we plug people more into that, and then it takes a little bit of pressure off of us.
True. I agree.
So Deanne, I'm so excited to hear from you from Maryland. How are you this morning? Well, afternoon, almost there now.
It is actually afternoon here now.
Happy afternoon.
Yeah, it's good. So my backstory, I've actually been in real estate a long time. I started working for a builder in 2001, got my license in 2003, and I will be I'm at EXP now for 2.5 years. So
Nice.
2-time icon and about halfway through my third. So
I love that.
Get there
So,
this year.
Are you a solo agent or do you run a team?
I am. I'm a solo agent, always have been in some form, I guess. I did work as a broker for a very short time. I do have my broker's license, but I didn't really enjoy the management piece of it. I have always had back end help. So I have like a TC, and I just hired an assistant this week. So just always having like additional support. But as far as a team, I've never really gone down that path. So
Me either. I love that. Do you, okay, so when you're working for the builder, you had about 2 years working for the builder before you came into the resale world?
Yeah.
That's great to have that experience.
Yeah, so I actually used to be in Texas as well. Hi, Texas people. I was in Austin. I worked for a production builder for a couple of years, and I think my experience that I got there was really invaluable because I was really taught a lot about construction. I was given a lot of basic mortgage knowledge, title knowledge, insurance knowledge, like all the really key pieces that I think gave me the confidence to get my license and go out on my own. And so when I got my license, I feel like I had a very good base level of knowledge. Plus I had a lot of sales training. So it made it very easy to move over into a role where I was really working for myself and had to generate my own business, because that was really the only piece that I had to learn. So
I love that. How many homes sold when you were in those sites in those couple of years? Like hundreds, thousands, like how many?
We were mostly like in the hundreds. I think the largest site I worked on was 420-ish.
Okay.
Yeah. So and I moved from different communities to different communities because a lot of times they would want me to open a new community. So I'd go, kind of here and there. And I actually got recruited away to a different builder at one point, and they wanted me to start their Build on Your Lot program. And they just really hadn't flushed it out, I don't think, by the time that I started. And I ended up sitting in a model like really far from my house. And I was like, this is not what I signed up for. And
no, and if nobody's coming in, you're only making money if you're selling houses.
Honestly, it was the best thing that could have ever happened because I used that time while I was on salary to just sit there and get my real estate license.
What else are you gonna do? You're like watch for creepy cars and get your real estate license. I love that. So okay, so that's super cool. So I have a question regarding new construction. So I've been a solo agent, always been resale. I thought when I was 20, I bought my first house. Second at 22, loved the process. From 22, I didn't have my license. The agent would be busy, so I would take the key and let people in, right? Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I love new construction. I'm only going to sell new construction. Then I'm going to do resale just for my clients who I'm selling them in the new construction and my friends and family. Well, I had raised 6 kids. So my youngest was 2 weeks old when I got my license 22 years ago. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've got the kids' sports. They've got activities. If I'm sitting site till 5 o'clock like that, I might be there till 7. I'm never going to go to any event. I'm like, so this brilliant idea I had, 12 years before was like, wait, this isn't going to work because I'm going to have like a regular job without a regular paycheck. I might as well remember. I'm like, this isn't going to work. So I ended up as a resale agent, but I still have that passion and love for new construction. But I think it's cool too. Like you said, you learn from literally the ground up about permitting, about like things that you can show people and talk to people about at a different level. So maybe agents that are struggling to kind of figure out the basics, maybe they can see if there's a builder that's hiring or, get a partnership with them, because I think there is so much that you can learn about the process from new construction. And then also, if you do a really good job when those people, if you farm that neighborhood that you were the new construction agent over the years, that's a good steady stream of business that can come into you as well. Now you in Maryland, is hard to farm Texas. So therefore, Jeffrey and Sean are here to pick that up for you. Just kidding.
Yeah. Well, no, and I will say, advice for newer agents is do a good job of staying in touch with your past clients, because that's something I honestly didn't do. It's mistakes I made early in my career was I had an amazing base of clients, but the reason I left to go to new construction was that I felt like I didn't want to sell a product. So I didn't want to sell only one type of house in a neighborhood and only one price point and kind of be stuck into that. But what I didn't realize is that a lot of those people kind of got a taste for their first home that way, but then would move on to resale or whatever, and then be a double side transaction. So, and I've moved around a lot, so that was kind of a challenge as well. But yeah, for me, I don't sell nearly as much new construction anymore. Just we don't have it in the part of Maryland that I'm at. You have to go about at least 45 minutes to an hour and no traffic away to get to like a development, I guess I would say. But for new people, it is a great place to, even if you don't try to go work there, because that's not really, most builders won't let you have your license and sit a site like that. But just making a relationship with the on-site salespeople and kind of, going to all your pre-construction meetings and doing the pre-drywall walks and all that stuff can really give you some insight into things to know about construction.
I think that's smart. And, one of the things too, Deanne, is not all builders. Well, a lot of builders have, like, you're on salary, right? Yep. So you're salaried and you're not allowed to do resale for anybody else. So one of the things, if you can get good relationships with those site agents and get a good referral, bring them snacks, bring them treats, bring them a goodie basket, so when their clients are not represented, now they'll want to probably keep the buy side, right? Because then they can double it, but they have houses to sell. And if you can do a good job getting in with a relationship with the site agents, that could be another additional revenue stream that you could add, 3, 5, 10 deals a year just by those relationships. So I encourage agents out there watching on YouTube and EXP World, go cultivate those relationships. It's not going to hurt. And then, it's only going to benefit you. And it's like, hey, you know what? My agent's not calling me back. They're dropping the ball. They're not showing up. Hey, you know what? Deanne does a great job. Let me give you her name and number. She's awesome. She can help you figure out the value of your home. And if this one doesn't work for you, she can also show you other communities as well. So I really encourage everyone here to kind of take a look at that. It's a great opportunity for you to, I think, grow your business and then maintain those relationships. And like you started off in the new construction, at some point you might be like, okay, you know what? I want to branch out to resale. And then maybe they'll call you and then you can attract them and help them grow their business as well. So kind of I guess a dual benefit.
Yeah, and I think one key point is that most buyers, when they start to look at new construction, they're usually quite a ways out from selling their home because they know that new construction can take
6 to 9
a
months.
year sometimes. So a lot of times before they're really ready to pull the trigger on listing, they will pop into a new home office and go tour the models. And that's where that agent, if they have your information and have a good rapport with you, can kind of be like, well, here's the process and here's what you need to do to get started. You've got to call this person to get your house listed, because a lot of builders here won't sell on a contingency. Like they have to have the house under contract, or they have to be already sold or whatever. So
I love that. That's huge. Anna, can I ask you a question? How many years have you had your license?
Who? Me?
Anna? Yeah.
Yeah. I have my license for 16 years.
16 years. Okay, so Sean, you're at 15, Anna's at 16, Deanne's at 21, I'm at 22. Jeffrey, you're the baby of the group. So one of the things that Jeffrey's getting the benefit of, that us veterans had to kind of struggle through, is I think the evolution of social media and the evolution of access to information. Okay. So I remember when one of my clients, my age, maybe a little bit older, they were probably, I'm 53 now, but we were looking at probably in the 40s, and they texted me, and only my teenagers texted. I am like, oh my gosh, a client is texting me. This is so weird. Like, I don't even know. And it was like those Razor phones. You have to you have to click through all the letters, and remember back in the day, in the beginning, you'd have to click one button 2 or 3 times to get the, right letter to come up. And you couldn't talk into your phone, things like that. So you think about the evolution of when we started early to mid 2000s to Jeffrey starting in the last 5 years, like what that has looked like. I feel like the accessibility to things is fabulous. So consumers have access to everything. That at a moment's notice, which is a blessing. But I think the curse of it is that we're expected to be on 24/7, right? It's not like back in the 80s when we had landlines and there was no cell phone zipping around, where you would be at the desk and they would expect an agent to pick up the phone at the office from 9 to 5. So how do we navigate, I think, turning on and off your business, yet being accessible to your clients? Do you guys have parameters around your business? Do you take a day off during the week? Are you working 7 days a week? What does that look like, starting with the youngest seasoned agent of the group, Jeffrey? What does that look like for you? Accessibility.
Accessibility. So I'm always available, right? You say that, but you have the choice whether you're going to pick up the phone or not. They can leave a voicemail, they can leave a text, and as long as you respond in a reasonable amount of time, then they're going to know that you're human. You say, hey, sorry, I'm at the doctor's office, or hey, I'm heading to a yoga class, can I get back to you? So I'm actually kind of the opposite, right? Even though I'm so young, I'm not leveraging the social media and the stuff that all of the the new ages are using, the YouTubes, and it's something that it's a major focus for us in our business this year, so that we can have that always on FaceTime with these clients, because people are going to go do what? Yeah, it's always
for you. Mm-hmm.
The internet's working for you. So when otherwise it's you're either calling and you're just constantly on the phone, or you're constantly texting. So that's something that we're working on. But yeah, if, an email comes through, I'd like to be able to respond to that email within 24 hours. The worst feeling soared through your heart is when you call a lead that's been looking at properties on your CRM. You call them and you find out that they just closed on another house. And it's like, oh man, what happened? And so just trying to solve those problems in the business is tough.
So this year you're working on your social media, leveraging your social media. Are you looking at just like Instagram? LinkedIn right now is a pretty like there's a lot of opportunities on LinkedIn right now. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. Obviously, Facebook and Instagram are kind of obvious. Levi, they've got that great YouTube mastery class going on in Elevate Coaching, which is, I think, helpful for people that are wanting to scale in YouTube as well. So what's your focus going to be? Is it Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok?
I'd like to know what you think is the opportunity at LinkedIn, because
So
like as a business professional, yeah,
a lot of professionals, it's a kind of an untapped market. I think there's only like under 20% that are utilizing video on LinkedIn. Now, I think you have to have like a little bit of a classier, more business-like approach, nothing too crazy. But I think just posting, being in front of people, maybe posting articles that are relevant, maybe doing like a 30-second, 60-second little video, maybe updating on rates or what the market's doing, what's happening with the NAR settlement, just showing up a little bit and showing up in that news feed, I think is helpful. And I think it's an opportunity. The problem is you put it out there, you have to remember to go check your LinkedIn to get the messages, but because we're not as apt to be on there as Instagram, probably, and Facebook. But I think there's just a lot of opportunity out there that's untapped. So if you start, kind of looking at that, and I think you have to time block this so you don't miss it, right? So maybe it's an hour a day that you're doing one posting, and there are several companies out there. If you look at this, you can post to like say TikTok or Facebook or whatever, and it will actually put the content out there for you for anywhere from like $29 to $99 a month. It will go out there and basically broadcast it to all of the channels. So you just have to create the content one time, and then it will do the work for you as far as hashtags and putting it on all of your platforms. So that is something that I would highly encourage you guys to do too, if you're not doing that to scale your social media presence. And you can batch this content. You don't have to shoot it every single day. So batch content, ChatGPT can write the scripts for you, and then batch the content and then produce it all at once and then send it to them and then have it go out daily on a daily basis.
Yeah, my focus is just going to be posting on, but I think building the systems to do it, because otherwise it's just, I'm not a robot. I'm not a robot. I cannot do it every day. I'm going to get, I'm going to get emotional. I'm going to get, something's going to come up. I'm going to get annoyed.
Why you batch the content. That's why you batch the content.
You have to build the systems to do it for you.
And if you batch content, Jeffrey, then you've got like spend 4 hours one day and you're shooting, and you've got 30-second little clips, and you can change your shirt, do that. That's what a lot of these people do. That's what GoGo does. People mass produce and then they batch it and they put it out, and then you can add stuff to it if you've got a new listing or something just closed or something exciting happened. But then you've got a basis of content that they're feeding out there that you're not having to try to figure out an hour every day, because you're right, things happen, life happens, right? But that way you can consistently get in front of people and be top of mind.
Yeah, YouTube is definitely going to be one we're going to work on too.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I love that. Thank you for that. Sean, so what are you utilizing today as I would call us old school veteran real estate agents, and how different it looks today than when we started 15, 20 years ago? What are you doing in the world of social media, TikTok, YouTube, to kind of reach the audience, or do anything at all?
I made a transition, into the social media, really about a year ago. Let me back up a little bit. You were talking about hours that you work and learning when to turn it off and turn it on. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and then I'll come back to staying in front of your sphere of influence. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Just try to kind of make sure I put a bow around this. So I'd say probably 10 years ago, my wife's a teacher, and I'm selling real estate. And real estate, you guys know, is weekends, evenings. And it was not working for us in our relationship. This is before we had kids. And I made a commitment somewhere, around that time, that I would work to find a way to not work weekends and evenings. And it is absolutely possible. I come into my office every day, Monday through Friday. I have an office in Grapevine. I live in Flower Mound. And I set that expectation with my clients, kind of when we can go do things. And when you do that, you're kind of driving the bus on how things happen. You can create that expectation, and it's good for everyone. They get the best of you, and you're driving the process, including all negotiation, repair negotiation, when appraisals coming in, everything else happening can be done on a timeline that you create.
I love that.
I always start with the simplest things with agents, especially if they're newer. Our goal is to cap, right? So we want to cap first. And then the second year, we're going to start trying to work on how do I get to icon. It might take you 2 or 3 years of really good sphere of influence follow-up, working lead opportunities and building it. And I would say by 3 to 5 years into the business, we need to be working on a referral-based business where we're not really working a lot of cold opportunities, paying for leads. We're working on people that we want to work with. You know, working with the referral that costs you nothing at that point to earn their business, and getting to work with people you like is a privilege, right? That's the opportunity. And when you do that, you can create your own schedule, your time, your efforts. So you get to choose when you work, you get to choose who you work with. So
it's so smart. And I feel like the quality of the client and the quality of the experience, and you're going to have way less people like ghost you. They're going to follow through. They're going to be respectful of your time. They're appreciative. When we're calling cold leads and chasing people, that's when you're going to get ghosted. I think that's when you can get really downtrodden. Very rarely have I had people that I've had past relationships with or refer me. I think treat me poorly, right? They have that respect.
absolutely.
Oh, someone has a microphone on, background noise. There we go.
Yeah, I don't hear it. Okay. To continue with that, right, getting to choose who you work with, I do get the benefit of doing that. And for example, I don't have a buyer rep presentation or a listing presentation. I'm not saying it to brag, but if someone says, hey, you need to contact Sean, he's going to help you get a house sold, I don't need to present to them. I'm going to walk in, start solving real estate problems immediately. That's my model. And it's really based in an effective sphere of influence setup. Now I'll come back to your original question. You were talking about what was I doing without social media prior? So I did get a license probably about 2004. I opened my brokerage 2007. And at that point, I wasn't trying to build a real estate business. I worked full time. I was vice president of human resources for a company in the local area, and they had a home builder. And I went to the home builder and I said, hey, pay for my license and everything that I need to run a brokerage, and I'll list your houses for free. And the opportunity worked well for them because they were $1 million homes. So that was an enormous savings for them. And they said, sure, let's do it. And that's really kind of how I got into real estate. It wasn't to run a brokerage. It wasn't to sell, real estate in general, but it grew into, well, I know how to do it, so why not do it? And I started helping friends, and then it kind of grew from there, and referrals were starting to come in. And I never kept up with any of my sphere of influence. I know that was a big hot button for a lot of you that have been doing real estate for a long time. Thinking back to when you started, that wasn't a big part of your business. You just wanted to sell, and not staying in front of them. So I read some books about it, and I got really serious about looking back at my past clients. And, fortunately, I've been doing it a long time. I had a lot of people to draw from. But I read one particular book, and I know if you guys read Millionaire Agent by Gary Keller, he'll refer to a lot of the same things too. If you touch your sphere of influence 40 times a year, out of 100 people you do this with, remember, 40 touches a year, 100 people, you'll gain 7 referrals. And that's the opportunity I think we would all want to work towards, because again, you get to choose who you work for, and you don't have to sell anything. They're going to work with you. People like to work with people they trust, like, and respect. Same thing for you. People that you work with are the same type of people you look for. So I built a system, 40 touches, and it's a little detailed, but from social media today, I do LinkedIn, I do Facebook as outside touches. Now, in addition to newsletters, texts, phone calls, I do HomeBot and I do EvaBot, 2 programs that allow me to continue to stay in front of people. And my referrals consistently, every week, I get 1 or 2 referrals a week, just from my network. So I've got about 1,500 people in my newsletter touch system, and about 800 of them are primary. Primary are people that know you by first name and you know them by first name. If you can start with 100, 7 opportunities a year is worth making sure we stay in front of that 100 40 times a year. So,
and if all agents did that, your average wouldn't be 2 home sales a year, 2 to 3 home sales a year, national average, right? You would be basically starting at 7. And then if you add open houses and other opportunities on top of that, just getting in front of people, you're selling 10, 15, without a lot of effort.
100%. Yeah. And I mean, I'm at this point, I do over 100 a year, and I don't have to spend a lot of time chasing anything. I don't have a cold system set up. I do have a cold system for agents in my group, not for me. I don't want to work cold agents. I want them. Everyone should have a feed system, right? You want to break up, just like Kim said, a little bit of Zillow, a little bit of open house, a little bit of referral, and eventually you want to get to 100% referral as our goal, right? That's what we're all should be aiming for, because that's the easiest people to work with.
Absolutely. It's way less drama. I love that. Thank you. Thank you, Sean, for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Anna, how do you put parameters around your business, girlfriend, or are there any parameters? Is it just 24/7? How do you do it?
I don't really know what that means. My English is not that great. What do you mean by parameters? Like, what does that mean?
Do you have office hours? Do you have certain days you take off weekly? Do you work in the evenings?
So I think when I was first started in the business for the first 4 years, I would work from, I would say 8 to 10 at the nighttime. I would still be working in the office doing marketing and planning. And then as I get more into the business, like as I get more seasoned and have more clients and start building a team, I actually work fairly minimal now on my days. So in my time right now, although we're pretty high in production, I probably spend maybe about 3 to 4 days in the office now. And every day I probably spend about 3 hours or so. And I don't really see a lot of buyers anymore. Most of my buyers are being sourced out to my buyers agents and my team. And I work probably exclusively for sellers. You can say that, because 90% of my sales are sellers. So I probably do about 80 transactions a year, and 90 of them are sellers. And only 10% is buyers.
Wow, that's incredible.
For myself, my personal production. Yeah, my personal production.
That's amazing.
So that's why I don't spend a lot of time when you're talking about parameters. I'm like, I'm right now traveling in Asia for 2 months now. I'm closing like 15 deals a month, and I still close them. I still have people calling me. I'm still doing listings virtually. I have my assistants go over there and meet with the sellers, and I also have my assistant go out there to meet with my buyers and some of my buyer agents as well. And my assistants are licensed real estate agents. So
wow, that is amazing.
I'm right now. I'm in Asia right now, and my time is like midnight, 12:30 right now. And I think for the last 3 ICONversation that I hosted for Brian here, it's all been this time frame because I'm traveling for 2 months. So that's why I think as you go on with your business and you figure out what you're doing and what you're doing is right, I think you will build a pipeline of business that's coming constantly. But then at the same time, I still have to manage a team. So it's right now I'm more focusing in team management rather than production, because I've been doing this for a long time. I got the production down into where I know. Yeah.
80 transactions a year, 80 listings, 90 transactions a year and 80 listings. You are like
80 transactions a year, 90% are listings. 90%
are listings. That is insane. And you're doing that while traveling abroad, working part-time hours.
Yes.
Okay, you are like the pinnacle of what we all aspire. Like off for 2 months, managing it from abroad. Like that's incredible. You should be so proud of yourself for what you've built. That is insane. I'm so jealous.
Well, I think part of it is, is because I think EXP is a good platform too. At the same time as I have been building, teams, and I have very trusted, partners in the business. Like my team members, I all trust them greatly. So when I have my seller's appointment, because the seller looked up how much homes you sell, and I'm constantly marketing, mailing the area, and cold calling. I have ISA calling the area. When they come and they look me up, they already know that they want to work with you. They just, the interview is just part of the interview is just part of it. But I interviewed on Zoom.
Good. Okay, so you do the interview on Zoom, so you can be anywhere.
I do the interview on Zoom while I'm traveling, and the sellers met me face to face on Zoom. And I told them, hey, I am currently out of town, but I have my assistant there that will go over there and check out the house. I will do everything on, I'll come back at X amount of day if they want to meet me in person, but everything can be remotely done. I show them comps. I do the regular agent thing, and then I send my people out there and a whole photo shot and all that stuff. So everything can be done remotely when you're dealing with listings.
I love this. I love this conversation today, you guys, and I can't wait to hear from Deanna in a second too. Anna, you have just given me new aspiration how to reframe my business, as well as Sean. I'm like, Jeffrey, call me anytime, I'm available. And then I like die, right? I'm like, what was I thinking? So I today am gaining so much insight. Sean around some parameters, Anna cutting the hours back. I love that. And thank you, Anna. I appreciate you so much. And I'm glad. Thank you for being up after midnight for us. We appreciate you.
No problem. No
You're a
problem.
rock star. Deanne, tell me a little bit about your business. What are the hours that you work? Do you work in the evening, weekends? What does that look like for you, having come from all those years ago, the new construction world where you were all day and weekends and all that? What does your business look like today?
Yeah, so mine is very non-traditional. My family is very non-traditional. My husband works in baseball, so he has a very weird schedule. I have a very weird schedule. He always jokes with me. I say that my hours are 8 to 8, and he's like, no, that's false. He's like, you work before that, you work after that, but it's not all the time. I would say if I added up the number of hours I work a week, it's probably 20 to 30 on a busy week. I like to outsource. So like I said, I just hired an assistant that's handling some like database type stuff for me. I actually travel 2 months out of the year as well. We go to Florida for spring training. So I'm fully gone from the area pretty much for those 2 months. I also like to take time off in November and December because that's the only time my husband's home. So it's different. That being said, I'm very connected to my phone. So I am always available for my clients. I don't think you could ever ask any one of my clients if they felt like I was ever unavailable to them. I think that I pick up the phone and respond to email probably times when I shouldn't, but our market moves really quickly here in the DC metro. And so you really can't just wait on things. There's not even a 24-hour response time is too slow, really.
Yeah.
So
I love that. Okay. So which organization does your husband coach in?
he doesn't coach. He's with the Nationals and he is on the equipment staff. So he handles equipment, uniforms, and umpires.
Okay. I used to be a Little League baseball president for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
So I love baseball. All of our kids played growing up, and like my job, like I'm in Seattle, which the Mariners, I think, are the only team that has not won a World Series still, which is very painful. It's
They had a good run last year, though.
They break your heart every year. So that's the nice thing. I'm like, you freaking can't beat the Rangers and the Astros. Sorry, Texas friends. But I'm like, seriously, like you have to implode the last like 2 weeks of the season. And of course, it was loaded with the Rangers and the Astros. But yes, very frustrating. But I love baseball. So we'll have to have another conversation about that. That's super cool. So I love that. So do you feel like having your husband working in a professional baseball organization, has that brought you opportunities? I also belong to Nexus, which is a sports and entertainment network nationally. And
Sure.
do you feel like there are opportunities there that you've worked with professional athletes from that connection?
So not really. I have worked with professional athletes in my past. I actually handled relocation for a previous brokerage I was at, and our primary clients were athletes. But in his role, what he does with the team, it's very closed off, I guess, in a way. And what I also find is that in baseball, the majority of our players don't buy, they rent. And so they have agreements with the apartment complexes near the stadium. If you're familiar with DC, Nats Park was built in 2010. The area around it was nothing, and it was developed basically to accommodate Nats Park. So around it, there is now a ton of apartment type living, a ton of shops and restaurants. It's a cool little destination. But because of that, a lot of people, especially the young guys that don't have families, just want to live close to the ballpark and they just rent. So it's not really as much of an opportunity as I would like it to be. But most of those guys, they own their homes back in Florida or wherever they off season. So
yeah, that's super cool. I think that's so much fun, and that's awesome. You get a couple weeks in, or a couple months at spring training. I just think right when the Super Bowl is over, I feel like the real estate business picks up because spring training starts, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden it signals spring. Like I
Well,
guess spring training, but
what's
yeah.
crazy for us is that spring training starts at the end of January. So
Oh, it's a long season.
it's
It is a
before-
long
it's before
season.
Super
That
Bowl
one,
for us.
yeah, 100 and what is that? 100 and is it 162 games? 161, 162?
Yeah,
162 games.
162.
Yeah, 162. It's a long season.
Yeah, it is. And it's the nice thing is with his job, he is at home for the home games and he doesn't travel. So the opposite of what most baseball families hate when they're on the road. For me, I hate when he's at home because that means I don't get to see him. When the team travels, he doesn't travel. So then it's his little off time and I get to spend a lot more time as a family.
I
So.
love that. And so I just think that's fascinating, Dan. Thank you so much. And can I ask you a question? Social media, what are you doing, or what kind of things are you plugged into on social media now that you wouldn't have done? And I'll ask Anna that question here in a second too after this. Like, what are you utilizing now that you maybe didn't as a new agent?
So I think for me, I'm pretty active on Instagram and Facebook, but more in the like silent lurker responder type of active. I don't post nearly as much as a lot of people. I don't do video and reel as much as I should. But I definitely see what my clients are doing because I'm connected to them on social and I respond to their stories. And to me, it's the personal connection. I think a lot of people forget that social media is supposed to be social. It's not a billboard. It's not an advertisement. I know it's kind of getting that way, but it started out as a way for people to connect. And so where the gold is in social media for me is in the DMs. Like when you see your client celebrating a birthday or you see them celebrating a promotion, a lot of times those are indicators that they might be looking to make a move. And you obviously don't go out and say, hey, congrats on the job. Are you planning to upgrade the house? But you send them flowers and say, hey, congrats on the promotion. That's amazing. And then who do you think they're going to call when they decide to upgrade? I mean, that's you. So it's really just staying in flux with people more than anything. I obviously didn't do that when I got started in the business because it didn't exist. I'm old, but Facebook was only for college kids back then. So.
I know. Oh my gosh. I met one of my agents. I don't know if you guys know who Chad Hedrick is. He's in the Houston market. He's in my organization, EXP, and he met his wife on MySpace.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Back in the day, she was cute. They met on MySpace, so go figure. Hilarious. So I love that. Deanne, thank you so much. And I look forward to getting to know you more. And I'd love to connect with you after this as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that. Anna, girlfriend. So are you using any social media?
Yeah, I am. There is, I use what's called the Little Red Book, and it's our Chinese social media platform. I also use TikTok and Facebook and WeChat and Instagram. But I think those are just additional sources of channels that other people can find you on the social media. But I think mainly if they were to look you up and try to find you to list their home or to buy a house, they're probably just going to go on Google. And then whoever comes up first, or if you appear, in the first page of the Google search, I think that would be the one that they would determine to use. Because that's how I find other people, right? That's how I find other agents in other states, or I would use Yelp. So I think the other stuff that you're doing with, YouTube and all those other stuff, it just is another source of things that would pop up when they're looking you up. So
I love that.
I think you have to just do everything.
No, that's cool. I know you do. And that's why that one platform, and I can, if anybody wants to message me after this, I know in the chat, a couple people asked me, I just Googled it the other day because it had come up when I was on TikTok, and Anna, you show up on my TikTok often. But I was just on there and it was like a tool that basically allows you to web out to all these platforms. And there's several options out there. So if you guys just Google it a little bit, or I can look it up for you. But I think if you're looking just to print once or post once and then scale it, that's a good way to go. We just have about 30 seconds here left, guys, before our hour is up. That went by so quickly. Anything you have in 10 seconds or less you guys each want to tell the clients? Jeffrey.
Do something every day that's really focused and get the task done.
Love that. Sean.
Stay in front of your sphere of influence. It's the #1 source of easiest clients to work with.
That's awesome. Anna.
Let's say be consistent on everything you do, whether or not it's YouTube or it's mailing or it's phone call, cold calling. I think consistent is the key for success. So just try it until you make it.
I love that. Don't give up. Don't be one of the 90% that gives up in the first 2 years.
Yep, they will give up.
You get tired. Deanne.
I think there was a stat I heard on a call yesterday that said most of the time prospects convert after the 7th or 8th contact. And so just keep that in mind, no matter what you're working, whether it's cold leads or sphere of influence or what have you, just know that sometimes it takes the time. It's not that first mailing. It's not that first phone call. So if what you're doing isn't working, just keep trying, because it's usually not an overnight thing for people.
I love that. Thank you for that tip. Yes, sometimes I hear up to 12 times and I get discouraged. I think, oh gosh, I'm harassing them. But yeah, it can be a lot of touches, so don't give up. I love that. Thank you so much. All 4 of you have been amazing guests. I think our audience has learned a ton from each of you and the different ways you're growing your business, and you're all wildly successful. And I'm so grateful to be here with you guys at EXP. I look forward to growing our relationship. And if there's anything you ever need, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would love to help. Brian?
I want to thank you all for joining us today. It was an amazing show. Kimberly, you rock. Jeffrey, Sean, Anna, Deanne, thank you so much for being here. If you are watching this on YouTube, smash that like button. We're going to be back next week with Jeffrey here on the panel today as our moderator next week. And also, if you are watching this live in the audience, you can fill out this survey that I'm going to drop right now in the chat box. If you're in an active Icon benefit year, just for watching today, you can get a couple of points. All of you up here on the panel, you don't need to fill it out because you're already getting that. So y'all have a great weekend, and I will see you around.